it's just not that much of a savings, and especially over, say, a Wii, which it's really not going to be priced that much less than. So it's not really saving you money. That, and I would also suspect that their monthly fees are going to have to be more because they're a startup company. They have no real capital aside from what their investors have chucked at them. Uh, they can't say wait to make their money back because they've set up these huge supercomputers in their centers across America that are going to run your games. This is costing them a huge amount of money. It's going to cost them a lot to keep them up. It's going to cost them a lot to keep it running. It's going to cost a lot to make sure it's reliable as well, which is a huge thing, or else they're going to fail. If it's not reliable, it's not going to work. And I just don't see how they have the money to do this unless they charge you a subscription fee that's going to be a fair bit higher than, say, paying for your Xbox Live or paying for, say, the downloading of various features on the PlayStation 3 network. It's just going to have to cost more. They haven't put up their prices yet. We'll see. They could prove me wrong, but I just don't see how they'll be able to basically pay off their debts if they don't make it a bit more expensive, which means that within a short period of time, the savings that you may have gotten on not having to buy the console are quickly eaten up by the monthly subscription that you're then stuck with forever if you want to keep playing your games. Let's see. Oh yeah, with this, now, from what I can tell, you're really probably only going to be able to play the PC versions of games. You're not really going to be able to get console things. Now, they say that they can port console games, but if something is console exclusive, it's probably owned or licensed to or wrapped up in either PlayStation or Xbox, and I'm not going to really go with the Wii here because I'll get to that later, but it's probably already wrapped up with them. So it's highly doubtful that they would allow a port of something that's, say, more exclusive to their console to this service. And again, that brings into my next point. A lot of people, I keep hearing very stupid comments from people going, oh, hey, now I'll finally be able to play Halo since I don't have an Xbox 360. No, you won't. Halo is an exclusive title that is licensed to Microsoft. They own the Halo franchise. I don't care if it's made by Bungie, and Bungie is no longer owned by Microsoft. If you actually check the fine print, Halo and everything related to Halo still belongs exclusively to Microsoft, and it cannot be ported to any other console, any other system, cannot be put into anything else. Maybe if you say, oh, well, I can play Halo 1 and Halo 2 on my PC. Yeah, you can play it on Windows because, again, it belongs to Microsoft. So you're not going to be able to play any of the, really hot first-party titles. And the other thing, too, that this may lead to are more exclusive titles, say, in the future if this service actually is somewhat successful. You're going to see Microsoft saying, well, when you make this game for me, I want it bound to me, it's licensed to me, you can't put it on any other console, and basically services like OnLive aren't going to be able to get titles anymore that are popular because they're all licensed to PlayStation or Microsoft or Nintendo, and they can't have them. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I keep hearing, people talking about it's threatening the consoles, it's threatening PS3, Xbox, and the Wii. It's not threatening the Wii, because the main thing with the Wii is its gimmick is the Wiimote or the Wii Fit, or basically its interesting user inputs. This can't copy that. There's no Wiimote for this. There are no, interactive party games that you can do with this. You don't have the use of the Wiimote, which is the big thing with the Wii. So it really can't threaten that, besides the fact that a lot of the stuff on the Nintendo is, again, first party. A lot of your little things have to do with your Miis or things like that. You can't play Wii Sports, you can't play Wii Fit. It's all Wii-based licenses. If they ever get back to the Marios and the Zeldas, all of those, again, owned by Nintendo, can't touch them. So what does that really leave you with that you could ever use from the Wii? Besides, again, trying to port that stuff from the console, you might get into some licensing issues. You're probably not going to be allowed to do it. So this doesn't really threaten the Wii. If you have a Wii and you like it, you're probably not going to be able to play any of the stuff from your Wii on OnLive, so stick with your Wii if you like it. Let's see, another thing, this may or may not bother you, the controller that they have for the television, because they've got a typical console-like controller, it doesn't look the greatest. I'd have to try it, but from looking at it, it just doesn't look like it would suit me very well, but, again, that's personal choice. Another thing too is that if the service is successful, it's not just going to piss off some of the console companies, it's probably also going to annoy companies that, say, deal in PC graphics or PC upgrades, things like, say, ATI or NVIDIA. Because another thing that OnLive likes to advertise is that you don't have to, say, have a powerful computer or ever update your computer again, because you've got OnLive and you don't have to make your computer any better to play the video games. Well, you know, a lot of these graphics companies or hardware companies basically make their living off of, you know, or a lot of money anyway, off of high-end graphics cards and things like that. And if you're trying to cut into that market, it's going to annoy them. On the other hand, though, I would say that it's probably not that much of a threat, since I like having a computer that's more high-end simply because it runs everything better, not just my games. Games are a big consideration, but it's not the only consideration. But again, you can take that into consideration. Another thing too is you can't take OnLive anywhere where you don't have a decent internet connection or an internet connection at all. So, say if you're going to visit family members and you want to bring your console with you, you can't if they don't have an internet connection. Like, I couldn't take OnLive to my mom's place because her connection is so bad it's barely functional at this point. Couldn't take it to my grandmother's because she has no internet connection. You know, things like that. So you also, say, can't have, if you're into this, you can't have LAN parties because basically you can't run more than one connection in a very small area because it's too intensive. You can't play while traveling to other countries if you're American, because right now this is only offered in the States and probably only will be offered in the States for a very long time, even if it's successful. So if you happen to travel anywhere else, you may not be able to do it. Now, this has always been an issue between, say, the consoles and PCs and stuff, but if, say, they did get the rights to port console games onto OnLive somehow, you wouldn't be able to play with any of your friends who actually do have that game and do have consoles because you're not on their network. You're not on the PlayStation 3 network, or you're not on the Xbox Live network. Therefore, you can play multiplayer with whoever else is on Live, but that's it. So keep that in mind if you're looking at games that might be ports from the console that are multiplayer games as well. Other thing too that I saw mentioned somewhere, which I thought was interesting, is, of course, I've heard, and for what I can tell this is true, there are at least 3 other companies who are working on pretty much the same technology that OnLive says they have, with the servers and the cloud technology and all of that. And basically, if they get up and running and OnLive is successful, eventually you're going to have the game market in this area split into several different camps, because you know that they're going to start saying, you know, well, I have these developers behind me, and then another, you know, streaming group will say, well, I have these ones, and then you won't have all of the games you want to play on one service. They'll be split a lot, like, say, you know, the consoles are split now, although most things are cross-platform anyway these days. But if, you know, say one group had ATI and the other one had Atari, although they're both on OnLive right now, if you wanted to play both of those games, you'd have to get multiple subscriptions, so keep that in mind as well. You might see, you know, your game library split between several companies in the very near future if this is actually successful. And actually, I do believe that is my entire list. So, in any case, those are my pros and cons, and I have no interest in OnLive, really. I have a computer that can run pretty much, well, it can run anything, and it can run them all decently. I have multiple consoles. I have no interest in this service. I would beta test it if they allowed me to, but being in Canada, I'm not allowed to. It's only the States. But I don't know. Overall, I'm just really curious to see what this does. See if it is any good. I doubt it, but we'll see. I'll reserve full judgment, but just keep in mind, if you want to use this, that there are a lot more cons, even if it does work. So keep this in mind. What are you willing to risk, and what are you willing to put up with at the same time? So, in any case, I will talk to you guys later, and see you around.